آمنت بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله واليوم الآخر والقدر خيره وشره من الله والبعث بعد الموت لا إله إلا الله.
Look here. You can share glory. I can understand. I have no problem with you. If the scripture says share, yes. But what he's saying is he's introducing the word same glory and share glory. Both of them he's introduced.
Hashim,
where does he say that?
You are a religious man. I'm going to ask you to be sincere and explain to me this passage.
Which passage?
This statement.
Okay, go on.
When Jesus says, with the glory which I had with you.
With you, yeah, that's all.
With you. How many different kinds of glory are we talking about?
Well, the glory.
How many different kinds?
I'm answering. The glory that he had when the time began, yes, is the Jewish way of saying. For example, if God has decreed something for the future, then that is decreed when God has foreknowledge of something. Yes? In the Jewish terminology, you can actually speak as if it is something of the past. So for example, if you, or maybe in the case of, you, for example, if God had decreed that you had a son, maybe long before you were born, yes, then in the Jewish terminology, you can say, hello, hi there, you all right? You can say that the boy or the girl that you had promised me, bless me with that. Because,
question.
Wait.
If I had something with my father, how many things do we have between us?
What things?
Call it glory, call it something else. I have something with my father. How many things have I got?
Okay, if you share something with your father, if you're sharing it, listen to this. If you're sharing it,
no, don't use the term share. Let's keep.
No, but when you say with,
if I have exactly when you say with, it automatically means share, which you agree with.
Yes.
Confessed already.
Okay, and what is the point?
Precisely what Jesus was saying. I had with the glory which I had with you. And you were unhappy earlier when I used the term share.
You misunderstood.
It's an obvious conclusion.
Arun, you misunderstood the point.
Okay,
you said that you're saying it is the same glory. For example, if I share a house with my, say, with my room partner, or with my house, with my, house tenant, another tenant, I share the same house, but I can have a bigger room than him. We still share the same room. So in the case of sharing the glory, it doesn't mean it equates exactly the same glory, because you see the glory that God Almighty has. In Isaiah 42,
No,
it's very important. I will finish it. I'm making the point still. When Jesus, in the same chapter, John 17:22, shares his glory with his disciples, does he share them? Does he share the glory with his disciples?
I'm asking a question.
Yes, I'm asking.
Am I going to speak now?
Yeah, but you need, look, sometimes it's a dialogue. You need to answer a question in order to get to a point.
You speak.
No. Arun, this is not a debate on a stage where you're allocated 20 minutes to speak, and then you give a rebuttal for 20 minutes, just like the way we had. We had a conversation, didn't we? Yes, it's a dialogue. God in Isaiah 42 very clearly states that he will not share his glory with anyone.
Very good.
If you're saying that Jesus acquired the same glory as God Almighty and then shared it with his disciples, yes, then that goes against the principle of God not sharing his glory. Do you agree? Answer. Now's your turn.
So, it is true that God says in the Old Testament that he doesn't share his glory with anyone.
Good.
So curiously, the question you need to ask is, well, if he doesn't share glory with anyone, how come he shared that with his son? That's the question you need to ask.
No, that's the question you need to answer. Because I'm saying he will not share his glory.
When I said that's the question.
That's a contradiction. Do you not realize that? You need to respond to the contradiction. The thing is, like you said, in the Old Testament, God clearly...
Rhetorical, by the way. When I said...
You're asking me to answer, and then he's saying it's rhetorical. A rhetorical question is not answered, for your information. Carry on.
If I said I won't give a specific thing to anyone,
yes,
I won't give that to anyone, and then I end up giving that to someone,
what does it mean?
It means
a contradiction. Does it not?
Alternatively, it could mean there is a way to reconcile the Father with the Son.
Please do. That's the point I was waiting for.
And that is
Please
the-
reconcile it. Go on.
And the reconciliation is the word which you might have heard over and over and over again.
Which is?
Trinity. Over and over and over.
Oh, you mean the word that is not in the Bible? Carry on.
Wait, so God's sharing it with himself?
You can repeat a lie over and over and over again. Doesn't make it true, does it?
Exactly, that's what you
What you're saying is the Trinity. The Trinity is something that's not advocated in the Old Testament or the New Testament. But if you want to really go down that route, trust me, you will not find any prophet, any messenger, neither Jesus, nor his apostles, nor his disciples ever advocating a triune God. God never said that he manifests as three persons. By the way, we are discussing the glory. But if you want to go to another topic like the Trinity, I'm more than happy to basically entertain
That's
you.
your favorite subject.
Yes,
Now,
and no wonder it's not yours.
the point, sticking with glory for now.
Yes.
We'll certainly move on.
You need to reconcile it. When God says he will not share his glory, and then he shares it, what does it mean? Why do you not see that as a contradiction? Because someone as an outsider, when I read those two statements, I see a clear contradiction. Do you not?
clear contradiction. It's
There you go.
opposite.
So the challenge there is
Reconciling.
Jesus did not alone there claim to have something which he shared with his Father.
I thought that was the whole point.
I think you're not listening.
I don't think you are listening to yourself.
I said that is not the only thing which he shared with his Father. He repeated over and over again
What?
multiple different things which he deliberately claimed as things which he shared with his Father.
Are we still talking about the glory or something else now?
Glory. Was one of the glory. Was glory included in
Bro, I will have one discussion if you don't mind. But then you can join in later on.
That's fine. That's my
Oh, that's your tag man?
Was glory
Your master.
included?
Is it your master?
When he speaks, standing behind you, I'm not going to ridicule him.
No, it's not about, did I ridicule you, my friend? All I said is, I'm talking to one person. That's what I said. I didn't ridicule you, did I? Okay, don't make allegations.
Productive conversation.
Exactly.
Productive
Which
conversation.
will only happen when two people talk to each other.
No,
Rather than multiple people. You agree?
no, I don't. Multiple people can chat and still have a productive discussion.
Yeah.
Now, Jesus claimed right through the Gospels that he not alone shared glory, but also the kingdom, but also all authority in heavens and on earth, but also the name with his Father, but also few other things Jesus shared with his Father.
Are you sure?
No, and that's why I'm telling that now.
So,
What are you talking about?
So why did Jesus say, I can of myself do nothing if he had all authority?
Really? When did Jesus say that?
John 5:30.
Let's read that carefully, please.
Go on.
This is a master case of misinterpretation.
I by myself can do nothing. As I hear, I obey. If you think I misinterpreted that, please read it to us.
Let's read.
By the way, I still haven't forgotten about the glory.
Learn in Greek to read.
A clear contradiction, and he knows that. And he still hasn't explained John 17:3, which he said he'll do in a minute. We have passed more than 20 minutes now.
Hashem. Let's leave behind extra commentary there.
That's an extra. That is a part of the discussion.
What did Jesus say in John chapter 5,
What did he
verse
say?
19? This is what he said. Note carefully, please.
Yeah, go on.
Then Jesus answered and said to them, most assuredly, I say to you, the Son can do. Are you listening?
Karen, I'm listening.
The Son can do nothing of himself. And he didn't stop there.
I didn't say he did.
He went on to say, but what he sees the Father do. What did Jesus say? He says, I won't do anything on my own, but whatever I see my Father do, that I will do. In other words, Jesus is claiming exactly the opposite of what you think he is claiming there.
Get to John 5:30.
Let me finish. Jesus is claiming exactly the opposite of what you think he is claiming there, which is, he says, all that the Father does, I can. And he moves on,
Go on.
gives more information. And he says, for the Father loves the Son and shows him all things that he himself does. And he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. For as the Father raises the dead and gives life to them, even so the Son gives life to whom He will. So Jesus gives one additional detail there. Initially He starts out by saying, all that my Father does, I can. Now He is giving details. He says, the Father gives life, raises up people back from death. I can do exactly the same.
Okay.
And then He goes on, clarifying one important thing. The Son gives life to whom He will. In other words, the Son can decide and give. He is not waiting on His Father to decide. The Son can decide and do this, give life.
Carry on.
And then He goes on, for the Father judges no one, but has committed all judgment to the Son. So, in terms of giving life, raising up the dead, Father and Son are equal. Now, when it comes to judgment, suddenly the Son is even greater, because the verse says, for the Father judges no one. On judgment day, it is not even the Father who is going to judge you, but rather the Son. In other words, the Son is greater in terms of judgment when compared to the Father. And Jesus clarifies and tells us why precisely the Father decided to do this. And He goes on, that all should honor the Son just as they honor the Father. Exactly for people like you who would misunderstand when God eternal in one of His persons takes up human form and dwells amongst us. People like you can say, oh, He's just a mere man. Just so that confusion doesn't happen, the Father and the Son, they get decided to make sure the balance of power is brought back to its equilibrium. The Father says, okay, you judge, I won't. At least through this, let them come to you. Let them respect you. How? Honor the Son just as they honor the Father. How are we supposed to respect and honor the Son? Exactly like how you'd like to honor the Father. So if you want to bow towards the Father, worship the Father, do these things and now those things to the Father, you better do those things towards the Son.
No problem.
Very important. So in two regards, you see equality already.
Yeah.
And then
What are those?
And then
the judgment and what else?
Giving life.
Giving life. Yeah.
Raising dead and giving life.
Okay.
And then He goes on and He says, most assuredly I say to you, he who hears my word, he who hears my word and believes in Him who sent me has everlasting life and shall not come into judgment, but has passed from death to life. Most assuredly I say to you, the hour is coming, and now is when the dead will hear the Son of Man, the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. The moment, resurrection which is going to happen later on,
Yeah.
when people hear the voice of Jesus, they are going to come back to life. Such is the power of the Son of God, namely Jesus. And then He goes on to say, for as the Father has life in Himself, Jesus acknowledges and says the Father has life in Himself. That is true. But He goes on to say, so He has granted the Son to have life in Himself. So the Son also has life in Himself. In other words, much like how we can claim the Father is the source of all life, we should necessarily claim the Son is also the source of all life.
It doesn't say source there. You made that up. It doesn't say source
Life
there.
in Himself.
Yeah, which means He's living.
No. It means I am not dependent on my Father for my life. I have it in myself. I have of my
It
own
means He's
self.
living.
I have life.
Exactly what He said. You are in charge of life.
Do you live?
I hope I'm speaking to you while alive.
Where does your life come from?
From God.
It is not of you, is it?
No, it comes from God. I told you already.
In other words, it is from God, not of yourself.
Yes.
But what does Jesus say?
What does it say?
He says, the Son to have life in Himself. Contrasting against you, Jesus says, I am not dependent on my Father for life, but rather I myself have it.
So who raised Him from the dead when He died? The Father. He doesn't even know that. This is the simplest detail in the Bible.
Further things are going to come.
Carry on, go on.
Why Jesus?
That goes against you actually.
raising up dead, giving life.
Yes.
Son and the Father are equal.
With the permission.
It doesn't say equal. Tell you. It doesn't say equal.
I can of my own self.
He's coming. He's coming there. He's coming there.
I can do nothing.
By the way, which verse are you on now?
And the second one, Father doesn't judge, Son judges.
Yeah. What verse are you on now?
25.
25. Okay. It's coming.
Third,
He started from
voice
19.
Voice of the Son of God. The moment you hear that, you will come back alive from the dead. So that's point number 3. Point number 4, the Son has life in himself. Point number 4, and has given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the Son of Man.
Sorry, given authority? Did he just say given authority?
Yeah.
Who gave him authority?
The Father.